Hello and welcome to the Warhammer Lady. Today I'll be going through the heavy support from the Dark Angels Codex. This is actually my last Dark Angels review and it's a bit sad but also fun that I've actually been able to go through them all. I didn't expect that to actually happen. So I hope you like them so far and I hope you like this one as well. First off is the Devastator Squad. It's a total of 70 points, and it's your basic 4 Space Marines and 1 Space Marine Sergeant, which can also, of course, be upgraded to a Veteran Sergeant with 1 extra attack and 1 extra leadership. They have the same basic Space Marine war gear as everybody else, and the same special rules. The one thing that is different about them, the fact that makes them heavy support, of course, is that they can take up to 4 Space Marines may replace their bolt guns with one of the following. And it includes heavy bolters and multi-meltas and missile launchers with flak missiles, plasma cannon and a las cannon. So they're extremely versatile units. For example, if I know I'm going up against an army of, say, well, with a lot of flyers, then I can choose to take 4 missile launchers with flak missiles. If I know that these flyers they have nice armor, for example. My flyers for Dark Angels, they're not that good at taking out heavily armored flyers, so I can instead take a Devastator squad with 4 missile launchers and flak missiles. That's really nice. If I wish, I can also take 4 las cannons if I know I'm going up against an opponent with lots of tanks. And if I'm going up against lots of ordinary infantry, for example, I can take heavy bolters. They are really versatile and a really funny unit. I can also as well include another 5 additional Space Marine. Now in a unit of 10 it means that I can still only take 4 heavy weapons. But I can actually use these, if I mean, these 5 Space Marines as a meaty wall. As long as my opponent doesn't have barrage, it means that the first 5 guys will actually die before the opponent gets to my heavy weapons. So it may be a waste of points, I don't know, I find it a fun tactic. But that's just me, I might be wrong. Again, it's a cheap unit with lots of variety and I will be fielding at least 1 unit. I've already bought one and I'm going to equip them with missile launchers, and I am going to buy another one which I'm going to give some las cannons. The Predator is a 75-point tank with front armor 13, side armor 11 and rear armor 10 and 3 hot points. So it's okay-ish, it's quite resilient. It has autocannon, which can be replaced with a twin-linked las cannon for another 25 points. So basically it can take care of ordinary infantry as well as vehicles if you feel like it. It can also take 2 side pontoons, which can be armed with either heavy bolters or las cannons. So again, more anti-infantry and more anti-vehicles. Say that I was going to take a Predator with a twin-linked las cannon and 2 las cannons on the sides. That would give me the same amount of las cannons as a Devastator squad. So it's another alternative, it's actually 10 points cheaper. It has its up and downs, of course. You can blow up a Predator and that would mean that all of your weapons go away in an instant. But then again, it's not that likely. And taking out 5 Devastator might be easier than actually taking out a Predator. But it's 2 versions of the same, more or less. One is a tank and one is a group of Devastators. So still, it's a very cheap alternative and I like it. The Whirlwind is another tank. The Dark Angels have a lot of tanks. It's 65 points, so it's rather cheap. It has 11 for front armor and side armor and rear armor of 10, so it's not very resilient. It does, however, have 3 hot points, so as long as it doesn't explode, it takes a while for them to actually kill it off. It has war gear, Whirlwind multiple missile launchers, and also searchlight and smoke launchers. I'm not going to say this because all of the tanks have it, and it's your basic war gear. The Whirlwind missile launcher, anyway, the Whirlwind multiple missile launcher, sorry, it's a missile launcher with, do in a second, sorry, there we go. It has 2 different kinds of missiles. Both of them can reach 12 to 48 inches, so it's a way for you to actually feel your Whirlwind further away from enemies. It doesn't have to be spot on. And the first missile is called Vengeance Missile, and it's a strength 4 AP4, strength 5 AP4, with Ordnance 1 and Barrage. Whilst the Incendiary Castle Missile, which is the second option, has only strength 4 and AP5, and Large Blast and Barrage Ordnance 1 just as the other one, but this ignores cover. So basically it gives you a way to shoot at enemies far off, and you can shoot at enemies within and without of cover, which gives it a good versatile use for its cheap 65 point. Yes, it can take out Space Marines, but it can take out Tau, Tyranids, Orcs, Demons. It's a good tank, yes, and it's so cheap, it's insane. Which may explain the fact that it's not very resilient, but still. The Vindicator is a tank for 125 points. It has front armor 13, side armor 11, rear armor 10, and 3 hot points, so it's fairly resilient. It has a Storm Bolter and a Demolisher Cannon. Now, a Demolisher Cannon is a 24-inch range cannon with strength 10 AP2 Large Blast. This is really good. Again though, it can be one of those tanks that is extremely worthwhile or just overpowered. For example, if I go up against Space Marines, if it kills off with this Large Blast, say 10 Space Marines or 5 Terminators, it's well worth it. I wouldn't hesitate for a second, I would say it's the best tank in the game. No, but seriously. However, if I go up against, say, Orcs or Tau, and I use this one, I might as well just have taken a Whirlwind for almost half the point cost. So again, it's a matter of how you field it or which opponent you're playing. It can be super awesome and it can be too expensive. Just as anything else, really. Now, the Dark Angels have 3 types of Land Raiders. And it's the Ordinary Land Raider, the Land Raider Crusader, and the Land Raider Redeemer. The first 2 ones are a total of 250 points each, and the Redeemer is 245, so it's 5 points cheaper. They have the same special rule, the same armor, 14 all around, 4 hull points, and 4 ballistic skill. The only thing that actually differs is the fact that they have different transport capacities. The Ordinary Land Raider has 10 models, the Crusader has 16 models, and the Land Raider Redeemer a capacity of 12 models. Also, they have different roles, dependent on the fact that they have different war gear. The Ordinary Land Raider has twin-linked heavy bolters and 2 twin-linked las cannons. For example, this is good against anti-infantry and some anti-vehicles. Okay, it's a nice Land Raider, 250 points. Your basic Land Raider. Then there's the Crusader. Now, the Crusader has a twin-linked assault cannon, which is also good against basic infantry, and 2 hurricane bolters, again, basic infantry. It also has some frag assault launchers, which means that if I disembark from the Crusader and I assault, the models that assault count as having frag grenades. So this is an insanely big Land Raider, 16 models. So I can take, for example, 16 guys that I wish would come into close combat, and I could drive them with the Land Raider Crusader. I could make some nice shots on some ordinary infantry, not Space Marines, but ordinary guys, and I could assault. And it would give for a nice assault and some nice casualties before that, meaning that I have an easier way of winning. And also, the Land Raider Redeemer can transport a couple of guys, 12 models. It also has a twin-linked assault cannon, but it also has 2 flamestorm cannons. And this is killing Space Marines weapon. It's a template with strength 6 AP3. And again, it has frag assault launcher, so just as a Crusader, I could choose to drive, say, 12 guys, which I wish to put into close combat, up to Space Marines. And I could first use the Flamer to actually incinerate some of them and then charge for close combat, which would give me the advantage. So, as I said, 3 different types, 3 different ways of using them, and regardless, they're a very nice safe zone for your guys since they have nice armor and a nice amount of hull points. So even though they're expensive, as all Land Raiders are, they're really good. And I like the fact that you can have different sorts of Land Raider depending on which type of army or which type of unit you wish to put into it. Also, all of the Land Raiders can be upgraded to be Deathwing vehicles. They don't have to take Deathwing units, they can do it anyway. And it means they get the preferred enemy Chaos Space Marine, and also the fact that they can make your opponent reroll its result on the armor penetration list. It's 30 points, but it might be a nice safety for you to be able to reroll, and it's definitely worth it if you're facing Chaos Space Marines. I mean, preferred enemy gives you, it's easier to hit them, so this is really, really nice. So last but not least, we have the Landspeeder Vengeance. It's 140 points. It's a fat skimmer with 10 all around and 2 hot points, so it's not very resilient. It has the ability to deep strike, so you can, if you want to, deep strike it in, say, round 2, close to some bikes, so that it doesn't scatter and so that it will have voided a couple of rounds of shooting. It has a heavy bolter that can be replaced for an assault cannon if you wish, but the funniest thing about it is the Plasma Storm battery. And this Plasma Storm battery has 2 different modes. It can either burst or be charged. Both the modes can reach 24 inches with strength 7 and AP 2. The burst mode is heavy 3 gets hot, whilst the charge mode is heavy 1 gets hot with a large blast. So again, it's all about which kind of unit you're facing. If you're going up against only one target, the burst mode might be more efficient since it gives you 3 shots. Whilst going up against, say, a couple of Terminators or a couple of Space Marines. Now, I know I'm using the Space Marine and Terminator analogy a lot, because this is what I'm used to, so just go along with it. Again, a couple of Space Marines, one big template, and plasma. It kills guys, and if you kill enough guys, the Landspeeder Vengeance will be well worth its points. Again, if you're going up against, say, not so awesome guys, it might not be worth it. It's a kill really heavy armor guys kind of skimmer, but it might also be a bit unreliable due to the fact that it has the gets hot rule. If it doesn't kill itself, again, well worth it. If it does kill itself, bummer, and it's just too overpriced. But I think that the plasma is a fun mechanic, especially for the Dark Angels, because they have a lot of plasma. And I like the fact that they can shoot the faces off, even though they're awesome guys. And it makes for a fun game, a unreliable and fun game. So yeah, this was the last entry of the heavy support. Goodbye.